Hello, Mark.
Hey Justin, how's the week been?
Yeah, it's been good. The goal that I had set for myself was to, and I really didn't think this was going to be possible, was to do some kind of mock-up for Taskflow.
Nice.
Turns out I was able to do quite a lot of mock-up for Taskflow, so we'll go through that in a bit. But yeah, I've made a fair amount of progress on the thinking behind that. So last time it was super fuzzy. It was like,
Cool.
what is this thing? This is
Yeah,
the,
yeah. It was. It was. I was a little confused.
okay. Now
There's so many ways that can go.
I have a pretty
How
clear
how,
idea of what it is. So we'll talk about
how
that after.
about the 24-hour fast though?
I didn't do it.
Oh, you were
Yeah,
halfway there.
I know I didn't do it.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I've really got to get on top of that stuff because my blood sugar has been not good. In fact, I got a call from because now that I've got on this continuous glucose monitoring thing, that's supplied by my health insurance company, and now they've got a
Ooh.
program where they basically have someone monitoring it and talking to you about it. And they just literally called me up before we recorded this right now and said, "Okay, you got to get on top of
Rates are
this.
going up.
You've got to get your blood sugar down." So that's what I'm
Nice.
going to do for the next week. That's my goal for the next week. Get
Well,
to try and stay below 200 on the blood sugar.
fasting. Fasting definitely
How about your
one
health?
tactic. Yeah. So I got off to a good start. I went out for a couple runs early in the week, or early in the week after we recorded. So, in other words, late in the week. And then I made a quick trip to Japan, which was
What?
nice.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I was planned already. I was going to Okinawa just during the weekend. I studied Japanese long, long ago, so whenever I leave Taiwan for a quick trip or something, I try to go out to Japan if I can.
You speak
Um,
fluid Chinese, like
my
fluid.
Chinese, yeah, my Japanese used to be fluent like 18 years ago, but it's far from that now.
Have you seen those YouTube videos of those guys who, those American guys who are just like sort of American dudes, and they walk into like Chinese establishments and they pretend to they just sort of like act like normal dudes, and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden they burst into like full on Chinese, Cantonese, and the people are
I
like, "What the?"
I have to admit, like way back in the day, like when I first got to Taiwan, like when I went home, I wanted to do that a little bit. I think just so many 80s, 90s movies, like that's a cool thing. But in Japan, it was actually fun though because like it was a language I've learned before, so just remembering is always easier because like I'd make incredible progress just in the one day I'm
Hmm.
there or 2 days I'm there,
Yeah.
and it's always fun. So I like learning stuff and remembering stuff, and it's social. But the trip came at a price that
Uh,
was now well, basically it completely derailed my running. And the reason for that is coming back from Japan into Taiwan, I was given this to sign. And basically, it's just because of the coronavirus. Like Japan is not like a super high risk place, but they were just like, well, everyone coming back, give us your contact info, which is good because I mean, I want to know if I was exposed to anyone else on the same flight, but also be sure to wear a mask in public places during the following 14 days, and there's a fine for not doing so. And so I've got to be like wearing one of these things whenever I'm outside my apartment, and that is not a convenient setup for running or eating out. So I can't really fault Taiwan. Actually, Taiwan has probably done a better job preventing the spread of this than any other place in the region.
wow.
But like, so no running. I'm inside a lot. I just, like, get kind of antsy. So I've been
Whoa.
doing a thing where I will do 10 push-ups every hour, or just like little bits of activity integrating
Mm.
into the day. But yeah, I still have 11 more days left, so that is
Wow, that's cool.
salt
I
of my
mean, that's
trip.
interesting. Very, very interesting and kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, and what's crazier is so I believe Taiwan, like total infections is only like 24, and every single one of them was from someone coming in from abroad, mostly Taiwanese people that were evacuated from China. They're like really on top of it. Then Japan, it's like almost 1,000, most of which is from one cruise ship, some luxury cruise ship that it's been in the news a lot. So I'm sure you've probably heard of it. But also like at least another 100, I think more like 170 local Japanese people. But in Okinawa, like when I showed up, like I didn't get a thing like that to sign. Like nobody's like wearing a mask or concerned. And,
Oh my gosh.
Here there's like this kind of like, it's not crazy concern, but just this low level.
They're on top of it,
vigilance.
basically.
Well, it's because we remember what happened during SARS, because then it was like the same thing when it first started happening. China was like, they didn't even admit the thing existed till 4 months in with SARS. And this time it was, same kind of thing. Like the first several doctors trying to report it were arrested for spreading illegal rumors. And one really famous one that died a few weeks later was, forced to sign a recantment of his attempts to, alert people that something was going on. And like that was in December. So I think here in Taiwan, it's just kind of like in January, China was saying like, oh, everything's fine. Like, don't, worry. Like here it was like, no, like we cut off all the flights from Wuhan, and like, I think it was January 24th or something. So it's like, there's a lot of skepticism. So I think that's part of why Taiwan has been
well, I
so
hope you keep safe.
I
certainly hope you keep safe.
Well, I'm young enough that it's not that. I mean, mostly it's people over 60, and really like starts going up over 70. So, but obviously, I don't want to have that happen.
What's the dress all about on your screen?
Well, we were talking about that last time. That dress. This was the thing that went all over social. What color is this?
Oh yeah, beige and white.
No, it's black and blue.
What?
No, so it's like, this is the thing. It's like about half of people were like, it's white and gold or white and beige.
Yeah, white and gold. Yeah,
it's one of those crazy things. Like, I thought it was white and gold too for like a week, and then it went to black and blue, and like it's very unstable. Anyway, we talked about it last episode.
It can't be. It's white and gold, and that's the end of the discussion because it is white and gold.
Well, I'll put up the Wikipedia link.
All right, what's that on the left?
The left.
The reactor.
Yes. So I have set up a YouTube channel, which I don't remember if it was set up or not last time.
Mm-hmm.
Got this logo put together
like a death
with
metal
some
band.
tools. I was aiming for like a reactor, but death metal works.
Yep, I like it. And the font coupled with the logo is definitely death metal.
Well, that should maybe get us a retweet from Adam Wathan if we're really lucky. The podcast is set up. We have this feed.
I like those stats.
Mindcast. Yes, zero of anything. The delay was just getting it approved. Like it takes a while for Apple and Google. And Google couldn't even read the feed at first. But it is approved, and it is approved on Google as well.
Whoa.
So basically, as soon as I go to the studio and make the first episode public, then it is out there. And we
so you're about to do that right now?
Might as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
live on air, except recorded.
Yes. Well, this is live of us about a month ago, but it'll catch up quickly once it's done.
Yeah.
What I do, visibility, public, and
woohoo!
Done. It is launched.
Yay! Reactor. We exist. What is this? And we exist.
Oh, super quick thing, update wise. So my main goal last time was related to Reactor. I had already done a lot of coding, was like getting screencasts out for it. I thought that my goal was to get 2 made out of the content I had done, and I thought that I'd get through all that content and make 2 screencasts. Hopefully I could do one more. I've already done 3 screencasts this week from it, and I'm not done screencasting the code I've already written. So it's turning into a lot of material, but it's definitely slowing things down.
That's fine. So basically, and really, that's the website. That's our central website that has comments. That's going to have comments.
Yeah. For right now, the feed is just making the YouTube channel the website for the podcast.
Okay. So but you're using Pinecast to create the feed right now.
Yeah, I used it to create the feed, but I submitted it to Apple and Google. And if you click into those profiles, you try to go to the site, it'll just take it to the YouTube channel for the same.
And for the new site that you're building, is Pinecast still going to be the feed, or is your new site going to be the feed?
Oh, the feed would still be Pinecast, but the new site would be the URL and everything.
Okay, so that's the URL. So you can go to the URL and then you'll be able to comment on any episode.
Yep. Perfect. And the site will be able to embed the audio clips from Pinecast.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
sweet.
It should be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So for this week, I have that goal of launching Flexalytics by the 1st, the analytics site. So I do want to push hard to at least get that to alpha.
Yeah.
Email automation. I wrote 2 more emails for my sequence. I need 12 total. That's just about good to go. So I want to flip the switch on that. And learning goal is just one of the tech books I bought Black Friday. Still going through. And
so is the first episode of the podcast also live on all those different platforms?
Well, as soon as I put it on Pinecast, it was, but it was undiscoverable. But now, on iTunes, if someone searches for Reactor and our names, they'll probably, in fact, I'll try it right now.
Yeah.
Just Google it, iTunes.
So, but you need to edit up the next 3 episodes or 4 episodes after that, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
I'm thinking,
that's fine. There's no
put out
major rush.
2 a week or something until we get caught up.
Yeah, I mean, well, unless you need that time to work on Flexalytics.
Well, that is a thing.
Yeah, so just do it. I mean, I don't think we need to rush it out, and I think I'd quite like that it's not too rushed out as well.
We're not in Google yet, so
okay, no worries. Yeah, okay, cool. This is all looking good. This is how things start, slow and steady.
Yeah, exactly. So,
even since we've been go on. Sorry.
Speaking of starting, how is the Taskflow stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So, on the first time we spoke, I did my big mind map about my goals for the year, and I kind of had one idea, and then the next week I had another idea, and then the next week I sort of had thought about the Taskflow thing. And the reason why I thought about the Taskflow thing was because I was like, okay, I need, these other things aren't working. These other things aren't going to get me what I need. And I went through the nugget process and then came up with Taskflow as the thing that I should be working on. And that was just really some questions, but now I've got a clearer idea. So let me just share here and we'll go through it. Okay. So really the thing, it kind of always happens. And I mean, tell me if you find this, but when I start working on a project and then thinking about it, there's new realizations about that space that sort of come to me because I hadn't really spent too much thought cycles on the space. And then the more you get into the space, you're like, wait a second, this is kind of interesting for more reasons than I'd realized.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and you sort of discover more things about it. So what I've really, really, really realized is that...
Sorry, really quick. So is this thing I'm looking at, is this the overflow of everything related to managing your tasks? Or is this the Taskflow app?
This is about the Taskflow app. This is my
existing products.
Yeah.
The mind map.
Yeah, this is a mind map, the usual mind map software that I use. And I just want to talk you through my thinking, and then I'm going to go into the mockup. So one thing is I'm getting a clearer idea of where this thing fits, like why do it. So we've got the existing products, we've got to-do apps, we've got project management apps, we've got the big ass text file, which is what a lot of us use. So a lot of us, and what's interesting is, I thought that Taskflow was actually in competition, but in a way it's not. I think what I've found is a gap. So there's so you know that metaphor, the last mile metaphor. I don't even know if it's a mental model, but it's a metaphor. So basically, you get a plane, you fly from London to New York, but that doesn't get you to where you're going. You've got to get in a cab, or walk, or somehow get that last mile to actually get where you're going. So I think that project management tools, and these are all the things like Asana and Jira, these tools are the flight from England to New York. And then what we do is we, as people, I think most people fall into this bucket. You go ahead and you use a big ass text file, or you use a to-do app, or you write down on a piece of paper. That last mile, you like, okay, I've got to take the trash out. I've got to do this piece of work.
You got to actually do the work that you're planning on doing.
You do the work that you're planning on doing, but it's so project management apps are just about the tasks that you have to do for your company, right?
Yeah.
And a big ass text file and a to-do app, you list the stuff that you need to do for yourself and the stuff you need to do for your company. And maybe if you're working for 3 companies, you list the stuff that you need to do for 3 companies. So you sort of manage the last mile of task management in that localized app. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that most people do that. So it's like a universal space. And what I think that hasn't been done before is no one's thought about systematizing and extracting data from that last mile of task management and sort of creating it.
Yeah, just like your personal data, or is it aggregated somehow?
Well, sort of learning. So that's what I'm going to show you. That's what I'm going to show you with the mockups that I've got going on. So so the whys, just real quick. Why am I sort of thinking about this is because when you just have tasks in a text file or a to-do list, it's not, it's still sort of, you're not really analyzing those tasks. You're not really thinking about why you should do those tasks. I mean, you are, but maybe what I believe there could be a more optimal way. That's my thesis, right? That's what I'm sort of thinking here. So I think that with the right tool, you could work smarter and not harder. You could pick the right tasks. You could even do tasks that you weren't even thinking of doing, and basically bring more happiness to your life, and basically, essentially optimize the moment of getting work done and the task choices. So it's really optimize the moment of getting work done, the moment of work, the last mile, and spending time wisely. So the product concept for that, this is the concept rather than the mock-up, is really just thinking about, this is really me looking at it from a scratch your own itch perspective. So it's basically a task workspace, which is the equivalent of the big ass text file. Like, it's a place where I'm sort of working. It's like a scratch pad. So I'm only working on this task right now. I don't want any distraction, and I want it to be a kind of scratch pad. Then I want a task queue where I can basically bring in my tasks from a queue. But rather, of course, I want all the usual things, like I want to be able to tag tasks. I want to be able to color code tasks. And that's the way that like every to-do app works or whatever. But what I want to bring into it is this idea of the system knowing why I need to do each task. So the system understands my personal life context per task. And based on understanding why I should do that task, it can offer me different strategies and different ways of ranking the tasks.
So could you give an example of that? So it's kind of abstract.
Yeah, I can give you a very firm example. Let me just So let's say, for example, you had a cat shelter. Okay.
All right.
You could, with the system that I'm thinking about, you can add different. Maybe it's better for me to walk you through the product, because it kind of would make more sense, and then we'll come back to this. Yeah.
Or do you have one in it? Well, I guess it's still mockup.
It's still mockup.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, I didn't build it yet.
Well, I mean, you like make your own CSS framework in a day. I mean, it's what I expect.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I first of all made it dark. So I'll just quickly show you that.
That looks way nicer.
It's not just going to be dark, like it's gonna be skinnable. So here's this. I call this the Swedish ski jacket skin. Because this literally comes from Swedish ski jacket. Okay. Watch this. So this is the exact branding that I used for Nugget. By the way, this is where I got the. Here we go. Swedish ski jacket.
It does look familiar. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the Nugget color scheme. So I really like that color scheme. But Nugget is a bit more heavy on the orange. This is really sort of nicer. The Midnight Coda, I got that from basically it's based on the text editor here. And then Something's Got to Give. Myself and my wife love that movie, Something's Got to Give, and the house that they have in the movie looks like this. So that's where that skin comes from. And then my sister, who loves hot pink and ice blue.
Oh my gosh,
Sarah Jane. So I think one thing about it's something that I didn't put in the product spec, but you want to feel really comfortable in this tool that you're spending a lot of time in, that you essentially have open all the time. So what I want it to like open up every time I go to open the browser. It's the first thing that comes up. You know, it's my basic tool. All right, so what I want to show here is, let me just move this stuff around a bit.
So is this going to be a Chrome plugin or something like that?
No, it's just going to be an app.
Okay.
This is going to be like a cloud-based app. That'll be how it'll start off. I mean, it may do other things. It may move to mobile apps and stuff like that, but it will be an app. Okay, so what I would just want to show you here is this is what I've been thinking about how to do it. So I remember I spoke about the queue. So all the tasks would be here. So you click there and you could access all the tasks. And then here is strategies, is where you could click and then basically you get a list of strategies that are important to you, like just one thing, structure procrastination, happy wife, happy life.
That's a strategy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm gonna explain how you put these strategies into the system and how this can apply to basically any strategy that you're thinking of doing. So did I talk to you about structure procrastination?
You have talked about that. And happy wife, happy life was pretty easy to guess.
Yeah.
The kid launch program and For the Win, I have no idea.
Well, we'll get into the details of that. So let me just I'll just go back to here. So you'll see that, you know, this is my task that I'm currently working on. I've got a little clock here so I can track the time if I want to. I don't have to, but I can just to help you, you know, quantify it a bit more. This is the time now. And that's the point, that this is now. And this is what I'm doing. And so I've got this idea of, as you pick tasks, you put them into the next wins queue. So there, you don't really want, you know, more than 3 or 4 things in that queue, the next wins. And if for some reason something, you stopped using something, you can basically move it to an on hold status. So it goes into an on hold. And then a done status. So really there's just 3 statuses. So the reason why I'm not using Kanban is because I find that so overwhelming. When I get anything more than 10 tasks in my backlog, it's like, oh man, that's too overwhelming. So that's another.
Is on hold different than that though? Like
on hold is just like that, but because it's a list and it's like, well, on hold isn't your backlog. This is your backlog down here, but you'll see why this is different to a backlog. Like a backlog on a Kanban board is overwhelming because when you get over 10, it's like, well, how the hell do I find anything? You know, like how do I look at this? What do I just, and you just end up creating another board, and then that gets to 10 backlog, and then you create another board. But these types of systems where you've got searches and you can, so for example, you can easily sort tasks, you know, by color, you know, or you can search through tasks, or you can have a look at them by the different, you know, the outstanding aspect of them. These types of lists are much easier to just use through when you have thousands of items. Okay, so there's the 3 different states that it can be in. This is your overall backlog. So in terms of the task workspace, this is the task workspace, and this is the now time. And then this is kind of how you're managing your now time. In terms of the task queue, everything's down here where you can list it in big lists with strategies and tasks. And then there's a task analysis. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So what I was talking about with the strategies, and this is kind of what makes this different, is that here is this like volume levels. Mm-hmm. So it makes it quite easy to set the volume level of these different things. I think volume level is the paradigm that I'm thinking about this.
So like the value of the task.
Yeah, so like task size, right? So how big is it? And it's like it's either nothing or it goes up to 5.
All right, I guess that would be an anti-value. You'd want like a really small task size and a huge impact.
So basically happiness impact. Now, these are not, apart from size and urgency and maybe pain, and this is the key, these are not predefined. These are user created. So basically, happiness impact is something that this user has created. Revenue impact is something that this user's created. Now, there may be strategies on the system where it sort of defaults. So during your onboarding setup, it's like, is your goal to improve your marriage? Is your goal to, earn your wealth or whatever? And in which case it'll set up default ones of these, and you'll see how that all hangs together in a second. But I just want to show you that.
Are those on a per task basis, or
they're on a per task basis, and there's ways to get it in really quickly.
Okay, so like you can have like I don't know, like clean the shed, and that doesn't have to have a revenue impact.
Exactly. So
gotcha.
So I want to click on next wins because this is kind of an important screen, and I think this is where you'll start to see how this whole thing hangs together. So click on next wins. So here, I've just got 3 things that I'm thinking about working on right this moment. So yeah, I've got some things in my, if I was to click back there, it would be my specific task that, because there's only one task at a time. But my next wins, I can flick through here as well. I've got these 3. And from this screen, I can, if I want, move between them. So it's also a now way of like, okay, I'm going to spend some time on this one. I'm going to spend some time on this one.
What are the red and green lights on the left? On the right side.
So those are the colors. So you can assign colors to any task. So basically, you just go ahead into a task, and there's a little thing here to click, and you can assign it colors. And what that means is that it's just another way. So there's multiple ways for you to organize stuff. So I wanted to create a very flexible system so that you could use one of 5 colors. You can add multiple tags, and then when you sort by color, when you're in the main listing area, you can just go up here and say, "Show me all the green ones." So or if you wanted search, you can say, "Show me all the ones with this keyword." So it's just a super fast and flexible way for you to sift. Sift is a good word, to sift through your hundreds/thousands of tasks that you've got in your overall backlog. So here, show me all the ones ordered by, how much time I've spent on them, kind of thing. Here, show me all the ones by the different facets. So just going back into this this thing here. So what you'll notice is this is one company I work for is called Modern Teacher, and the task that I had to do here was to add an icon in the framework view and make it a different color from other icons. Okay. So that according to this, I would have put day job impact. That's a pretty big day job impact because they really want me to do it. But the task size is really small, so that's kind of cool. So what you'll notice here is, I don't know if you can see this, but it says for the win 79. Yeah. So what that means is that the strategy that I got this task from was by looking at for the win strategy. And what the for the win strategy does, which is a strategy that I can make up, because I can make any strategy, is it basically goes, you get a score from 0 to 100 based on how small the task size is and how big the day job impact is.
Okay.
And so when I go into strategies here, that'd be for the win. I'd click it and it would give me a list like this, and I would see the different scores. I haven't mocked this part up yet, and it'd be like, oh, this is a 100 score and for the win. I click this little thing and it pushes it into the next wins queue. And so the next win, this is cool because this is something small and it's got a high impact and I don't need to do too much. And so this is why this is a good choice. Now, this one here, capture the full meeting details when meetings scheduled, CC to the team. This might actually, this did not come in through a task strategy. This was just something that I clicked on tasks because I just really wanted to do it. And But when I actually look at it and think about it, it doesn't make sense to do like right now over any of these other ones, because actually it's got a high pain level, the task size is small, and the data, no one cares about it apart from me. So, so like, it's like, wait a second, the data is reflecting my own choices back to me. Why do you want to do that, over that?
Yeah, and since it all came from you, you kind of be arguing with yourself to go against it.
Exactly, you're arguing, and what the system
and maybe
is,
you input the wrong stuff, but yeah, I can see why that.
So the system shows you the choices that you're making and reflects them back, and it's like talking to a good colleague with a good cognitive processing who's saying, wait a second, what that's not an optimal plan right now,
Yeah.
So you'll see how it gets deeper into that.
This is way more involved than I was thinking from your initial descriptions. This seems like the Anki of task management, like super customizable, and it will. I mean, if all goes well, like this will attract huge task nerds who like write blog posts about their strategies for using it and spend almost as much time optimizing the meta level as actually doing it.
Well, exactly, and I'm glad you said that. In fact, there was even a blog post that I was just reading. If you want to get good something, get good at the meta game, like understand the meta.
Oh,
game.
I read that. I did not totally agree with that, but
okay.
It probably depends on the domain.
So I think these strategies are essentially, in a way, like they're sort of. I guess they're a little bit meta, like you say.
Well, I mean, I just mean that this like a tool with this many knobs you can play with is going to attract people. Much. Have you ever used Anki, the spaced repetition system?
No, I haven't. No.
So are you familiar with spaced repetition systems?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever, for some reason, want to memorize like all the capitals of the countries and states, or you want to like memorize a bunch of foreign language words, something like that, make flashcards, that's the popular tool to use for it. But it's this very complex open source thing that's been around for a long time. And people get like super hardcore into tuning all of the knobs and adjusting exactly how they want.
Like, didn't you already say from our previous discussions that this is sort of like CrossFit? Did you say that?
The workout of the day. That's you said something, because like if you're supplying content of like, here's your like task management workout of the day, like that's super CrossFit.
Yeah. So okay. So just continuing on with this.
Sorry.
So basically, this one is like launch new nugget batch. So what's interesting, I even learned something just by mocking this up. So the pain level is high because I really don't want to do it. The task size is medium, but the revenue impact is maximum. And basically, the one big thing strategy. So that this is like a task selection strategy, which is you do one big thing that is going to have the most impact on all the things that you do. So this is getting a 95 out of 100 from the one big thing strategy. So it makes a lot of sense, and it literally has changed.
Yeah, it seems like you got to do it.
Right, it's literally changed my mind. Like, I was not going to do this. I was putting this off for months, but now that I actually put it on the board here and look at it, I'm like, wait a second, that really makes sense to do. I'm going to do that within the next week or two. So now I want to just show you like how, and this is what I really like about this. This can help a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and this is what has got me excited about it more than I was before. So going back to this, let's say you were a cat shelter owner. You could create a strategy. These things. You could basically create a new strategy from this menu, manage. And you could say, I want to create a best for my cat shelter strategy. And I'm going to add a meter for helps the cats, increases donations, improves the shelter, brings in volunteers. So then when I add a task, I haven't mocked this up yet, but I add a task, and then it'll have these vectors here. And so it's super quick for me. I like, it's just like the way that I'll do the UI is you like hover over and then you just click, hover over and then click. So you'll be able to quickly do that. Now what happens is
Yeah.
Now what happens is I can also, through a drag and drop interface that I also haven't defined yet, but I'm going to do it. Basically, I'll be able to create the algorithm that ranks these. So I'll say helps the cats times by 100 plus increases donations, improves the shelter. So I'll be able to create this ranking algorithm. And then that strategy will order the tasks. So when I'm looking for my next task, I can go into strategies, best for my cat shelter, see what's up there, and click the trophy, and then it brings it into the next wins. And now I can see in my next wins, I've got helps the cat shelter 99. Yes,
Yeah. So this actually just made me a little bit more bullish on this project idea. It was a little bit surprising to me when you first came up with it because just maybe being around indie hackers and those kinds of crowds, I was expecting you to be thinking something that's like more premium pricing aimed at a smaller number of people instead of like a broad consumer thing like this. But looking at this more, I think one of the key things that'll determine how well it goes is the UI UX. And that's something that you have a lot of experience with. So it seems like, a more compelling fit than I had initially thought.
And that is exactly because of the nugget process. That is why I picked this, because I like everything. What I've realized is I literally think I want to write a book about this. Is the product founder fit formula is the most important thing. The reason why I'm working on this is because I've looked at every single vector. I follow the nugget process, and like everything aligns perfectly with my current stage of where I'm at as an entrepreneur, with my skill set, with the kind of market that I can serve. Because I've already proven with Plugio that I'm actually very good at serving consumers. I'm good at working with consumers and building consumer product. And so I've been branching out into all these other things that I'm not already proven at. So
it's just the kind of the predominant advice for at least non VC funded. It's like everywhere I look, that's like aimed at bootstrappers. It's like charge more, charge more.
But like every rule is made to be broken, and everything should be looked at through the lens of your own personal context.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I'm sort of really getting into this and realize why it's good. So the final piece that I think, now that you're sort of seeing the overall picture, so
it's also a lot clearer now.
Yep, and it also makes sense now why there could be an improve my marriage strategy, because you just add the things like is going to make my wife happy, is going to create enrichment in our marriage. So you add the vectors. So you can imagine when someone's onboarding and coming into the system, like the first thing that you could do is you could sort of say, what are your goals? Do you want to improve your relationship? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to do this? And so they just select what they want to do, and then the system seeds the strategies that are related to what their goals are.
Yeah, I think it's like Anki, like the really hyper flexible, customizable tool. People will almost inevitably, there will be people who really like it and start using it for all kinds of stuff that you hadn't thought of.
So the final piece that I wanted was that what this is doing, the workspace helps me in the 0 foot view. Okay, that's the 0 foot view. I can quickly, that's where I'm working. Because remember, this is the last mile. This is like the last mile of getting work done and managing your tasks. So this is the getting work done phase. The task queue helps me optimize what tasks I pick. And now if I do that optimization every day for a year, even if I increase by 10%, 20%, like it's gonna have a huge impact on my life, compound interest impact.
Sure.
So then the missing piece is, okay, I need to track the outcomes and see what is the Justin Vincent index doing. Is it going up? Is there pieces that I'm unhappy about? Because I don't know if this ever happens to you, but this happens to me. I'll be doing something for a year or 6 months or something, and I'll realize actually, I'm not really enjoying that. That isn't really a hell yeah kind of thing, or I'm not getting what I want out of that. And sometimes it's hard to really understand that. So I want a system where I could want like a closed feedback loop, so that I can basically go, okay, I can see what's happening, and then according to that, I can then alter the way that I'm working in this area.
Would
So
this just be overall overall feedback on you, or would there be any feedback on your own judgment of how much the tasks were worth? Like is there going to be something where it's like, well, you're actually not very good at estimating revenue impact, or some
I
kind of
think that
feedback like that?
I'm very open to discussion. I'm only just started thinking about this, but what I do think is there should be two types of analysis. One of them should be analysis that the system can create. So, for example, based on these vectors, the system has, I don't know what to call these things.
Yeah, you keep saying vectors, making me think machine learning, which
Yeah,
is making me think of this is like back propagation. It's like we've already like done some learning against some goal, and then we have like feedback from the world, and then we need to tune everything in the previous layer.
I don't know what to call these things, like scales, ranks. I don't know, like attributes. I don't know what to call them. But anyway, because we've got these, let's say over the course of a month, you keep on adding tasks. The system will have these different ones that you've entered or that you've selected. And so then you'll be able to go to a view, like an analysis view. Okay, show me over the last month. What did I do? And so I'm imagining a chart that's like circles that are like tiny to 100. So everything's based from 0 to 100. And so imagine a matrix, and it says, task size, day job impact, pain level, revenue impact, happiness impact. And so then the circles are bigger the more that you've done over the last month. So you'll be able to look, and you'll get this quick matrix of all these different things, these different attributes, and see, wait a second, I've barely put anything into my day job impact. But look, I put, all this into, this thing. So you can sort of see, and you'll also be able to get a burn down rate because of task size. Automatically I've got a points 1 through 5. So I'll be able to say, this is how many points of work you've done. But then, so that's like what the system can offer you. But then what I also want is every day when I log in, I want to be able to define a number of things. And this is the mock-up that I've got for this. But basically, I want to be able to track. This is the index tracker that I'm talking about. So I want it to be able to, let's see, stencils. Let's try. Yeah. I want something like this. So that every day I can just quickly go, if I'm happy or not, like on these things. And then after a month, I can look back and I can say, oh man, blood sugar is consistently going down. Like I really need to just rethink that. The wealth is just like if you don't do anything, it just goes in a straight line. And so that's the true feedback loop about the important things that you want to track.
This is interesting. This is especially, blood sugar and wealth are both really tight feedback loops. It's very clear data you get from it.
And it's just a quick little survey. So just when you start working in the morning or whatever, it just pops up once a day and just gives you the option to just rank how you're feeling about those things, whatever's important to you at the time. And so that could also be useful for, like, let's say, for example, you're dating, and you're dating like two people. you could essentially put them on there and keep track of, like, wait a second, how happy am I? Like because you don't even remember. Stuff happens every day that you feel in the moment, but then you forget it next week.
Yeah.
So if you log that feeling on a daily basis, then you can kind of look back, and that gives you insights. Yeah, this thing, I was not happy about this every day. I
think this is an XKCD comic somewhere in here, but yeah. This is interesting. So how much more is there in this thing?
Well, how do you mean?
I guess that's all of your mock-ups, but it just seems like there are a lot of there's a lot of complexity in the app, and
Well, the complexity is because of the where you're starting, and because there's no onboarding, and like when you came in the first place, like there would be onboarding, and can you guess how the onboarding is going to be done?
Just purely. Actually, oh wait, beta list, yeah. Oh, speak. That makes sense because that's higher touch, and you can.
Yes.
Exactly. That actually.
So the whole app, so Speak will be completely integrated in it, and every time someone wants, I'm thinking maybe there'll be a mode of like show all the Speak buttons, and so wherever you are on the UI, you can press a button and it'll show you how that works and give you insights into how to do that, and then that will say powered by Speak, and then people will go, that's a very cool onboarding, and click the powered by Speak link, and so then hopefully Speak will get some interest and some business.
Yeah, and Speak is almost definitely going to be a lot more expensive.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And if and so finally people, because I haven't really had an opportunity to show Speak in its true light and what its capabilities are, and so it's going to help me make Speak a better product as well, to do it fully integrated with an app like this.
Why isn't Speak on Nugget yet?
Because of just these just
the time
choices. It's just the choices. It's like, what should I do next? And that's exactly the reason why I wanted to build this system. Because what I've realized is, I for the last 7 years, until recently, I was working with a partner who was a project manager in my day job, but she's moved on to another job, and I realized that I was using her for all of this. I was reflecting off her, and that was how I was coming up with these decisions about what to work on. So I realized I'm building her.
Wow.
That's what's going on. Yeah.
Wow. Is she still a Nugget, or is it all you now?
No, she is still with Nugget, but we're not sort of working on a daily basis together. So I just not having those sort of reflective conversations about making the same insights, best choices.
Yeah. Well, that's what this podcast is for. We can.
Well, yeah.
Yep. And the audience, like if 2 heads are better than 1, then even 10 followers is freaking awesome.
That'll be exciting to get comments from an audience. So that's where I'm thinking, and so I'm just going to keep on mocking up. The skins, I think, is an important piece as well, because you need to be comfortable with it. And it's also, I'm just designing it from a framework point of view to be easy to skin, so it's
are really the skins just colors, or is it more than that?
Just colors. Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah. I mean, for me, like any kind of like CSS skinability that's like structure as well as colors is been a nightmare.
No, I'm just going to make it so that basically you just switch 4 colors. You just switch the colors, and then everything else is done with opacity. What I was going to say is, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think it should be an Elixir app?
I don't think it matters that much unless, I mean. So my reason I like Elixir is 2 things. Like, one, I think there's a lot of productivity in like a backend MVC framework, or MVC-ish. So something like normally if I didn't know Elixir, I would just go right for Rails or Laravel or something like that. And the reason I like Elixir beyond that is just that you get lots of really convenient real-time stuff and scalability. But this app, it looks to me like most of it is going to be the front end.
Thinking about the scaling of this app was what I was thinking. Although it doesn't need to be, and what does make most sense, and I would say this to any founder, is to work in the technologies that you know really well. So what does make the most sense is for me to build it in Laravel, because I've been working in Laravel and I know it really well, and just to do my own CSS framework. But still, what I worry about this product is, compared to most products that I've built, the opportunities for scaling are kind of different, because in other products, it's people looking, it's like 1,000 people looking at the same content, even if it comes from the database, and that's the scale. You send that as an object, you cache the object of the results, right? But with this, there isn't really anything to cache because it's all everyone's individual data. So you don't save that much by caching one person's data. In fact, in some ways, it might bulk.
The time where Elixir will scale more easily than Laravel will, but the time I would really consider abandoning it is if you're doing lots of real time stuff. Like the reason I moved from Rails to Elixir for my language learning conversation partner app was that there was real time chat and real time video going over it, and lots of people connected concurrently. And
what about
sending chats all the time? So you don't want to have full reloads. But I don't know if this is going to be.
Well, it's really that. So the two things are, obviously, clicking a button, that's not happening all the time. So I'm pretty happy for that to be a post. This screen here, where you're kind of working in a scratch pad, and you're like saving stuff. The way that I do that on Nugget right now is I just basically look at an on-change event, like as they move. I save it every 30 seconds, or I look at if they blur out of this.
Okay,
and then just do a post. And do you think that probably be okay for something like this?
How much traffic how many users do you think you'll get?
That's another question. Do I have free accounts or do I not have free accounts? That's all stuff that needs to be discussed.
So one thing I noticed with Alchemist Camp, which is different sort of thing, of course, but when I got to almost the top of Hacker News, it was like number 4 or 5 with it. It was not getting that. It was getting a lot of visitors, but it was still like under 100 requests a second. I think it was like 40 or something. And I load tested it up to 1,000, over 1,000 on a $5 a month DigitalOcean droplet. So if you're using Laravel and it's something like this, and you've got an equivalent amount of traffic, maybe you would need the $10 droplet. But like I think going beyond like this, where you could scale on a single box, would be such a huge success. You could hire help.
I think so too.
On your other podcast, didn't Jason tell you the Uber's horizontal scaling didn't even happen until 2013 New Year's?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
They had real time maps and all that stuff.
Yeah, so what I could do is I don't want to let one thing I don't want to let happen is because here's the thing. I've got a feeling that if I do this well and I do the journey right and I do the website right, I think it could do well on Product Hunt. And on the Product Hunt launches that I've done so far, one Product Hunt I got 4,000 emails from Product Hunt traffic. And Nugget was fine. It was just on a mini machine. Yeah. But it was scaling using the processes that I was telling you, where I was first of all using Cloudflare. Is it called Cloudflare? That one with they give you a
static assets.
They give you like a CDN.
CDN,
I was using Cloudflare. I was using object caching for result sets. So basically, it even with 20,000 people coming in, it barely made any impact on the server load of a tiny. So I'm hoping that something like that, it can manage something like that.
I wouldn't worry at all about that, because servers are a lot faster than they were in 2013 also. And Product Hunt isn't that big. It does focus the traffic really hard at the number one, but it's not
and I just need to experiment about whether to let people in for free or not. Because the reason why you let people in for free to a product like this is essentially it's a marketing cost. It's sort of like paying for AdSense or something like that. You're paying for that person to experience it, and then it be front of their mind and then make a decision to sort of buy it.
Yeah.
Great.
And there are a lot of free alternatives for this too. So there are a lot of people that are like, if they try it and they like it, they might want to pay for more, but if they had to pay, they wouldn't even try it.
Right. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's what you want. And maybe you don't want people to try it who wouldn't pay for it. I don't know. I need to think that through and sort of see how that all works out.
You have enough of an audience that you might not have to have a free trial, but
yeah,
I suspect this kind of thing will, or not free trial, but I suspect this kind of product will usually do way better freemium.
Yeah. All right. So that's me.
Yeah. One last thought on this is, have you seen the Workflowy interview on Indie Hackers?
I haven't seen that interview. No.
Okay. Yeah. It's like a written interview with,
okay,
or I think a podcast and a written one, but might be relevant to all of this.
Okay. I'll check it out.
So how much time do we have left? We're already at about an hour. You want to do a mental model or not?
Oh, we did an hour?
It's already been an hour, which blows my mind.
Wait, no, because we didn't start till, I think we're more like sort of 45, I think.
You could be right.
Yeah. But yeah, sure. Do you have a mental model?
I do. I don't have a good name for it, but
I've stopped sharing.
You've stopped sharing, then I guess I'd better share. Otherwise, it's just me.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so my mental model is not my own, but I've come up with a name with it, which is Exported Skills. I got it from an author I met in the U.S. when I was living there, like 2012, Daniel Ellsberg, and he wrote a book. He wrote a few books, but the one I read at that time was called Educational Millionaires, and he's basically talking about like non-college things that you can learn that are worth a lot. Programming, I believe, made a short list. So did copywriting, but the idea of exported skills is there are a lot of skills there are a lot of situations where you have a skill it's actually like a pretty good skill, but it's not really worth much where you are because it's very common. So it's just like you export a good because you can earn more from selling it somewhere else than you can by just selling more and more and more where you are. Well, he was really into salsa dancing, and he was like a medium good salsa dancer. And at the salsa dance studio, that got him like zero respect whatsoever. But when he went to Burning Man and did like a salsa lessons stand or whatever, I've never been there, but like whatever that is, like then it was awesome because he was surrounded by programmers and non like serious salsa dancers, so his skills were amazing. And similarly, I found programming can feel like a superpower in certain groups of people, but obviously, like when I was in the Bay Area, it was like, well, it's like everybody program. So that is
this is where I say you need a blog and you need to like do that. That should be the title of the blog post: exported skill sets. Like you should have
sets. I like that
skill set. Yeah.
I just had exported skills, but skill sets is even better.
Exported skill set. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and just do like that you need to do that blog post. You said you were going to do it.
I did.
And there was
like number 5
post
on my list. Yeah.
There was another great blog post.
The engines versus power-ups.
Engines versus power-ups. That'd be a great blog post. Exported skill sets. That'd be a great blog post.
I have to do it. I think I said last time, but I checked my my ConvertKit stats on that blog where I've only got one blog post from the New Year's update, and it's like 130 subscribers. So,
and this is
feel
where
like it's so much easier to get people to read stuff than watch videos. So yes,
if you had Taskflow and you'd like look at these metrics, you would be doing blog posts at this point because it would be reflecting to you the madness of not doing that.
I would have like an email subscriber per effort of work characteristic for the task.
Yeah. That's a great. I like that one though. Exportable skill sets. That's very, very nice. And it's another way of thinking about it is it's like the big fish in a small pond mental model.
Sort of, yeah. And I'm thinking there's probably a corollary for entrepreneurial things where, like, say, there's some skill set that's really common in like internet marketer course sellers, like say setting up affiliate programs that no one does for a SaaS, or almost no one does, or didn't until really recently. Like there may be other similar things, like, you know, what can a video game designer take to a sign up flow in a non-video game company, or what can
it works anyway. I mean, if you are a farmer and you know how to be completely self-sustainable, and you've been doing that for years, and everyone, that's not really particularly interesting to everyone in that rural community. But if you're in San Francisco and you're hanging out at a bar and people say, "What do you do?" and you say, "Oh, well, I just live off the land," they'll be like, "What? You live off the land?"
I kind of had that at meetups when I first moved to San Francisco, because I'd go to a meetup and there'd be like, 6 guys in a circle, and it's like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And like one's like, "Well, I'm a Node.js developer at LinkedIn," and the next one's like, "Oh, well, I'm a Node.js developer at Yahoo." The next one's like, "Oh, well, I'm a Golang developer." This other place, just like around the circle. And I was like, I taught English as a foreign language and studied Chinese and Japanese, and just moved here. And that was like exciting and interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, yeah, some varieties. People get sick of the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, well, I guess, what are your goals for next week? Should we?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Track that.
Let's see. Okay, so I've written down, number 1 is launch my analytics app. Question. Because
yeah.
I'm not sure. I've only got 3 days left before the end of the month. Number 2 is flip the switch on the email automation. I think I've got 1 more email left to write. And so far, it's like, I think this is one of those things you were talking about, those 10% improvements each year or something. Like, I can feel very clearly from the response I've gotten from the emails so far, there's like, this is one of those things where once it's automated, that'll just be, X% more engagement for new Alchemist Camp subscribers. So those are the 2 big ones. With whatever time I have left, I'll work on some learning projects, and then building out more of the Reactor site, getting comments and all that up.
Okay, I'm just logging down what you have to do there. So, and I'm also noting it by date as well. So,
so 1 and 2 are the big ones each time for me.
So last time, finished screencasting stuff for Reactor. First episode for Reactor published, and put emails into ConverterKit. So this time it's flip switch on email automation and launch analytics app. Well, launch analytics app is like impossible. So why don't you just say, what could you realistically get done on the analytics app?
I could realistically get it set up so that I can give people account keys and start taking their data, but not have a way for them to query it.
Okay. Let's just leave it as launch analytics app.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, launch or question. I left some slack in that one.
Okay, question. Okay, I'll put that in there. All right. So mine was last time, do a 24 hours task and do mockups for Taskflow, task input, happiness index chart. Oh, I was thinking about that last time. Good. So that's the happiness index chart, and then how to track that. And I think the way to track that is with just a daily survey. So this time my goals are for next week. I want to have mockups finished for most of the major areas. The other thing that I need to do is I need to talk to Jason Roberts about this. I've set up a meeting actually. Because I don't understand the math of how to make an algorithm builder that always ends up being between 0 and 100. And
Oh,
I think I need to talk to Jason about how best to do that. And then I also want to talk to him about the UI that might be like a good UI to maybe build those algorithms.
okay. Yeah. If you can't get a hold of him for it, I can probably help out with the math side as well.
Oh, cool. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Basically, that is the mockup algorithm builder.
Sounds like a good plan.
Mockup management.
Health side, I think I'm going to try to join you on the fasting. I don't know if I'll get to 24 hours, but I skipped breakfast and lunch today. I think I'm going to try to see how many days I can do that. Like intermittent fasting, just because I'm not running.
I'm not going to commit to a fast because I don't think that I'm going to be able to do that. But what I am going to commit to is swimming 2 times. So I'll swim 2 times by next show. That's my goal.
That's one I totally couldn't do with a mask.
Yeah, right. But are you going to catch coronavirus in a pool? I don't know.
I mean, I think the odds of catching it are incredibly low when, as far as I know, it's like less than 1 in a million people, or just about exactly 1 in a million people that have it here. But I think the idea is, since I just came back from somewhere else, just like keep my mouth covered so I'm not sneezing or something in public.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a pain, but I can't fault it.
All right. Well, I guess this is the end of another show. We need to think of a good way to sign off. I know we don't want to say that's a wrap, so
We can't do that. That's all right. Well, sounds good, and see you next week.